The next thing I want to do is I want to back up any important directories. And when I say important directories, I mean directories that contain files that a service needs in order to function properly. So for example, I have a web server on here, and if an attacker comes in and modifies those website files, that could potentially destroy my website, right? So it would be great to have a backup of those files. So when the attacker does come in and modify those files, I can always restore that file from my backup. Another example is with FTP. So we need there's a certain set of files that we need to provide through FTP. And if the attacker comes in and deletes one of those files, it would be good to have a backup of that file somewhere that we can then restore. So first I'm going to cd to the directory that I want to back up, and I'm going to run tar, and nobody ever remembers tar flags, so I'm going to consult my cheat sheet here, zcvf, yes, and then the name of the file that I want to save the backup to, so backup.tar.gz. And then I'll use this asterisk wildcard to take all the files and throw them in that backup directory. So now if I print out what's here, I should have this backup.tar.gz. That's going to contain all the files in this directory. And I'm going to want to move that to a secure location that Red Team is not likely to check. So back when I competed, I actually created a hidden directory in Etsy called kitten. So I said etsy.kitten, and I just moved it there because who would look in the .kitten directory, right? Well, now that I actually made a video about it, quite likely somebody would look in the .kitten directory, so maybe choose a different name instead. But back then, I put it in etsy.kitten, and if we look, we have that backup there. So if Red Team ever tampers with our files, we can always restore from a backup. If I want to back up this file remotely, so let's say Red Team is able to find my backup. Maybe they search for .tar.gzip files or something, and they see my backup here. They could just remove it. And so if they remove it, it's nice to have a remote backup on a Kali machine, for example, that we can always restore. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to connect to my Kali machine using sftp. sftp, or Secure File Transfer Protocol, actually works through your SSH server. So all I have to do is start my SSH server on my Kali machine and connect to it. So going back to my Kali machine, I'm going to start my SSH server with sudo system control start SSH. Before I do that, actually, I definitely want to change the password for the Kali user so that nobody else can SSH as Kali. Or if you're using root, change the password for the root user, right? So if I say PASSWD, I'm going to change my password to something secure. Oh, I have to enter my current password here. And now that I've changed my password, now I can go and say sudo system control start SSH just to make sure it's running. And we can double check that it's running with status. Now, because we blocked all outgoing traffic, we won't actually be able to connect to that server on our Kali machine. So we're going to have to pop a hole in our firewall temporarily that's going to allow us to connect to our Kali machine to transfer this file over. Also, if I wanted to restore from this backup or grab it from my Kali machine, I would have to do the same thing. So I'm going to do that with IP tables. So I'm going to say user sbin IP tables -I output -p TCP --d port is 22, because remember this works over SSH. And so we need to connect on port 22 -j accept. And now from there, I should be able to reach my Kali machine. So I can SFTP to my Kali machine. So I'll say Kali at 10.0.0.14 is my Kali machine's IP in this case. And I am sure that I want to connect. I'm going to enter my password. And now that I've connected, I can upload that backup file with the put command. So if I see where I am, I'm actually in my home Kali directory on my Kali machine, and I can just put backup.tar.gzip. And now it's there. Now I can exit. And now I can remove that firewall rule that I just created with user sbin IP tables -d output 1. That's going to delete the first output firewall rule. So there we go. Now if I try to sftp again, this time it can't connect. I recommend coming up with some sort of way of organizing the backups that you put on your Kali machine, especially if you're backing up multiple directories from multiple machines all on the same Kali machine. You're going to want to figure out some way of organizing it, such as creating per machine directories, right, on your Kali, so that when you're restoring the backup later, you know which backup is for which directory. So let's say Red Team did actually go in and corrupt or delete one of our files and we want to restore backup. How do we actually go about doing that? Well, I invite you to go back to the GitHub that we've been referencing, scroll down, and under NCAE checklists, you'll see this recovery plan document. If I open this recovery plan document, at the bottom, I talk about how to restore backups. Essentially, if you wanted to restore from a remote backup, first you'd have to connect to the Kali machine, again popping a hole in the firewall to do that. You'd use get rather than put to grab that backup file, and then you would restore the firewall to its original state. Either way, once you have that tar.gzip file, you can extract it back to the original directory with tar zxvf.